In 2007, a 20-year-old rising star held a 5-month-old baby in a Barcelona locker room for a photograph nobody thought twice about. 19 years later, that baby is standing on the opposite side of the pitch from him in a World Cup final.
Congratulations, you're moving to the next level. Your next opponent is him.
This is the story of Lionel Messi and Lamine Yamal, not just two footballers, a closing circle. On Sunday at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, Argentina face Spain in the final of the 2026 World Cup. On paper, it's a battle between two national teams. In reality, it's something much rarer, a genuine changing of the guard moment playing out live in the biggest game football has to offer. On one side, Lionel Messi, 39 years old, chasing a fourth World Cup star and what would be the 47th title of his career. On the other, Lamine Yamal, 19 years old, wearing the same number 10 shirt Messi once wore at Barcelona, tipped by almost everyone in the sport to be the one who inherits his throne. They've never faced each other in an official match. Until now. Let's go back to where the story actually starts. Rewind 2007. Lionel Messi is not yet the player the world will come to know. He's 20 years old, already a first-team name at Barcelona, but still years away from his first Ballon d'Or, still years away from being called the greatest of all time. That year, a family from a small town near Barcelona wins a raffle, a competition run by a local newspaper in partnership with UNICEF. The prize, the chance to take a photo with a first-team Barcelona player in the away dressing room at Camp Nou. The player they get is Messi. The baby they bring is 5 months old. His name is Lamine Yamal. Nobody in that room could have known what that photo would become. Not a keepsake, not a coincidence. A prologue. Fast forward almost 2 decades, and that same baby is now the most electric attacker at the European Championship, a Barcelona superstar wearing Messi's old number, and the player most people believe is destined to carry football's torch into its next era. That's the myth. Now let's talk about the two careers that actually built it. To understand what this final means, you have to understand the shape of Messi's career, because it hasn't been one long straight line to glory. It's been defined by near misses as much as trophies. For years, the biggest criticism of Messi wasn't about his club career. That was already historic. It was about the national team. A losing World Cup final in 2014, Copa America final losses in 2015 and 2016. The weight of an entire country's hopes and a sense that maybe, despite everything, he'd never get this one. Then 2021 happened. Argentina won the Copa America, the dam broke. And in 2022 in Qatar, Messi finally got his World Cup. Arguably, the greatest individual tournament performance in the competition's history, capped with the trophy he'd chased his whole career. By most reasonable standards, that should have been the ending. The perfect final chapter. Except, here he is again. 39 years old, still leading Argentina, still pulling the strings, not with the explosive speed of his 20s anymore, but with something almost more dangerous. Pure football intelligence. He doesn't need to sprint the length of the pitch. His positioning alone drags defenders out of shape. His passing does the rest. A win on Sunday gives him a 4th World Cup star for Argentina and by some counts, title number 47 of his professional career. It would be one more piece of evidence for an argument that's already mostly settled, that he's the greatest to ever play the game. But greatness alone isn't what makes Sunday's final special. It's who's standing across from him. If Messi's story is about a long career finally closing its loop, Yamal's is about a career that's barely begun and is already rewriting what's considered possible for a teenager. He made his mark early, winning a European championship with Spain at just 16 years old, becoming one of the youngest players in history to have that kind of impact on a major tournament. Since then, the trajectory has only gone up. He's Barcelona's brightest attacking talent, playing the exact position, wearing the exact number that Messi made iconic at that same club. That comparison follows him everywhere, sometimes as a compliment, sometimes as a weight, but at the 2026 World Cup, he hasn't just lived up to it. By some measures, he's been matching Messi statistically at this very tournament. Entering the final, Messi leads the World Cup with 24 successful dribbles, and right behind him, 22, is Yamal. Two players 19 years and 11 Ballon d'Or apart in reputation, sitting at the top of the same leaderboard. And there's a detail in this that almost feels scripted. Yamal has said before all of this that all he wanted was the chance to eventually play against his childhood idol, not just admire him from a distance, compete with him. Sunday is that wish at the highest possible stage there is. Neither team walked into this final easily. Argentina ground out a tense, high-stakes semi-final win over England, the kind of match where Messi's experience mattered as much as anyone's legs, controlling tempo, in a game that came down to the wire. Spain, meanwhile, had to get past France, with Yamal at the center of that performance, continuing a run that's made Spain arguably the most dangerous attacking side left in the tournament. Two different paths, two different generations of football, both ending in the same stadium on the same Sunday. This isn't just Argentina versus Spain. It's the closing of one era standing directly across from the opening of the next, and for 90 minutes, maybe more, they're going to have to go through each other to find out who actually wins that argument. Strip away the sentiment for a second, and here's what's on the line. For Messi, this is about completing something that already looked complete. A fourth World Cup star for Argentina would be almost unthinkable historically, and it would silence permanently any remaining argument about where he sits in the game's history. For Yamal, this is about announcing himself on the biggest stage football offers at 19 years old in his first World Cup, and doing it by beating the player he grew up idolizing in the exact shirt number he inherited from him. Whoever wins on Sunday doesn't just win a trophy, they win the headline of this entire generational handoff. 19 years ago, a photograph in a locker room meant nothing more than a nice memory for a family that had just won a raffle. On Sunday, it becomes the opening scene of one of the most fitting final acts football could have written for itself. Messi, chasing history's last unclaimed line. Yamal, chasing the idol who unknowingly helped inspire him to get here. Only one of them walks away a world champion. If you're watching this before kickoff, drop your prediction in the comments. Messi's fairy tale ending or Yamal's arrival as the next face of the sport. Subscribe for more World Cup coverage as this story finishes writing itself.